John and Pam Rieken say they've led a charmed life, but for decades, something's been missing, an emptiness and a longing to say thank you. On March 21st, 1985, nearly 30 years ago, John was riding his prize Harley-Davidson on Airline Highway heading into Baton Rouge when a car ran a stop sign and slammed into him, sending him airborne into the median and landing some 20 feet away from his bike. John was wearing a helmet, but his face took the brunt of the impact and he suffered multiple skull fractures. At the same time that evening, a 26-year-old pediatric resident, Dr. Ann K. CEFALU, was heading home after a long, grueling shift in the ER, and she saw the commotion of the accident and instinctively jumped out to help.
There was blood everywhere. There was blood all over his face.
But there was a bigger concern. John had no pulse and would soon die without immediate care.
There was a lot of damage to his face, and so we cleaned John's face off as much as we could and started chest percussions. And at one point, I remember stopping him because his pulse came up and then immediately came back down again.
Dr. CEFALU worked to get John's heart pumping and blood moving, breathing for him. It would be 8 to 10 minutes before paramedics arrived. Those precious seconds would determine John's fate.
Had no one stopped at that point, I don't think John would be here today. I don't think he would have made it for the ambulance to come.
John coded twice more in the ambulance, but made it to the hospital, where he would stay for a month. Multiple surgeries and months of recovery followed. John remembers virtually nothing about the accident, except he knew someone was there, helping him, saving him. But he didn't know who the mysterious person was. All he and Pam got from the police report was a Dr. CEFALU from the Independence area. No first name, age, or gender, nothing. But now, John didn't just want to, he needed to say thank you.
Because that was something that was left undone, to be able to say thank you for what you did to save my life that day. That was something that I always think about.
But this was 1985, pre-internet and any Google search. It wasn't easy finding a Dr. CEFALU, and that suffered a further blow not long after the accident, when Ann got married and legally became Dr. LaGarbo. But John and Pam never quit, asking anyone in the medical world about their unknown angel. But the months became years, and eventually decades passed.
But I've thought about her. I think about her all the time. When I look at my son, a lot.
It had been nearly 30 years, and Pam had given up on finding a Dr. CEFALU from Independence, until one day last month, while here at the LSU Surgical Center, she saw a young doctor named Charles CEFALU. She asked Charles the same question she had asked countless times, if he knew any of the CEFALUs from the Independence area. And he said, maybe my aunt. So he called.
Auntie, do you remember anything about a motorcycle accident in 1985 on Airline Highway, which almost sent me off the bridge because he wasn't alive?
He came back and told me that that was his aunt, and here's her phone number. And I went to the break room. I couldn't breathe.
And so on a sunny fall afternoon, the tall motorcycle man nicknamed Tree thanked the diminutive doctor who saved his life.
I don't know.
It's so good to see you after all this time. Thanks about you all the time.
As a doctor, you get hugs, but this one will always have a special place.
John's hug was different. John's hug was different.
I've had a magnificent life with my husband, and I know it's God first, but he used her that night. She saved his life.
And there are genuinely good people all around us, and and I hope to be considered one of those people too by my actions.
Everything you say and every action you take can change somebody's life, and it'll change yours too, because there's no question that whole thing changed my life.
It's been a great journey.
Thanks so much for being part of it.
God bless you, John.
A hug goodbye, but just for now, as an ongoing friendship is now evolving 30 years after it began.